This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 642 with Marv Bee, recorded on April 10th, 2025. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Marv, my favorite time of the year is right now, at least in Nebraska. Beautiful weather, no bugs. I know you're getting rain, and you do the bugs ever go away in Florida? Do you have bugs all year?
All year round. All year round. Maybe a week in January.
Or right after a freeze that lasts for 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
You get a little, it goes 32, you get a little ice on the...
Now, the same nights that the iguanas freeze. That's probably the same night.
Yeah, we get a hard freeze up here, and a long hard freeze, and the bugs go away. And so you have this window. It's like mid-March to maybe early May where the evenings are beautiful and there's no bugs for the most part, no mosquitoes, and you can go outside and it's wonderful. And then I don't know what changes. One day you go outside and it's just you don't call it bug-a-haw for nothing where I live. So but it's nothing like Florida. So I'm not trying to compare. Okay, I'm not trying to compare to what's going on there. Well, anyways, we'll broadcast we'll post the show with some world-class show notes, and we got a few tonight with Marv out at the AverageGuy.tv. Big thanks to our Patreon subscribers. Appreciate you guys each and every month. Very faithful. If you want to join that team, the AverageGuy.tv/Patreon, we'll get you there. And then a big thanks for using the affiliate links that are posted on the site. If you head over to the AverageGuy.tv upper right-hand corner, there's a little box that says, as an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Click on that. Click through it. I don't have to do anything else. It sets it. Although, Marv, tonight, I think you gave me some links. They'll have your affiliate link in there.
Okay.
So purchasing through that, Marv will get the credit for it. But appreciate you doing those things and making that work for everybody in the system. And then big thanks to Ed Sullivan, who joined us last week as he was moving from his Tesla to his new Cadillac, which I never thought I'd hear the word Cadillac ever again from anybody, but he did it. Marv, did you listen to that?
Especially in the world of EV, it sounds counterproductive.
He said that. We were talking about that. We've been talking about it for months. He ordered that months ago, and it just finally came in, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, I think I'm going to pick a Cadillac. I said, are you joking? Like, I laughed. Ha ha ha. Yeah, sure you are. What are you really going to pick? And he's like, a Cadillac. And I was like, I know you're not. But sure enough, he loves it. So yeah. Did you get a chance to listen to the show?
I heard a little bit of it. And at first I'm thinking this show isn't going to interest me because I'm at that point. I'm the guy where I'm thinking I'm going to die with a gas vehicle.
Yeah.
So I just purchased a Jeep last year.
Yep.
Even though it's a 2021, I'm thinking, okay, I usually keep my Jeeps 10 years. And by then I figured we should be over this EV craze and people will start moving back to gas powered vehicles.
Yeah.
And so my next Jeep will still be gas powered without all the smart gadgets. That's more what I'm worried about is all the smart gadgets that come with these vehicles.
Yeah. You really think they're going to go away?
No, they're not.
No, I think they're here to stay.
It's just me wishful thinking. So.
Yeah. I think we all thought, excuse me, I was drinking some water. It wasn't the whiskey. It was the water that got to me. I think we all thought for a while that it was going to go really fast. Like this EV stuff's just going to cut over and they're gone, But I think they're going to hang on a little bit longer. I think
will.
It's going to be a 20 or 25 year cutover, maybe. If maybe it won't completely cut over,
I think that there is a huge market for these vehicles, and they really do make sense in certain areas. You don't have to have gas, but I still think gas makes sense and won't go away. So there will be a balance, I think, that will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of those And I mean, some of the technologies we haven't even thought of yet, that'll get included in some of those. So I have a 21 Legacy, Subaru Legacy. I plan to hold on to that vehicle just as long as I possibly can. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
and we'll see from there. Maybe at some point, if I can get it long enough, Sarah and I will consolidate down to a single vehicle and, call it good. And that'd be a good time to go electric, in a place place that'll take care of us for a while, kind of deal, and then eventually get rid of that. Right.
Yeah.
So,
I'm hoping,
who
to be
knows?
honest, I'm
Yeah.
hoping that solar becomes enough that our roofs of our cars are solar.
Yeah.
Combined with gas, we won't have to worry about these battery issues that I think
Yeah.
we're going to have a trouble with
Mm.
coming up. Where do you dispose of these batteries? That's
Right.
my thing.
Yeah.
They're already, we're in IT, so we already have battery disposal issues as it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe's out in chat. He says he's enjoying his Model Y.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean they're enjoyable cars. They're great. I mean, this is the thing. Like I have tried to find the value in both. For people who have gone EV, awesome. For people who want to keep their gas cars, awesome. Like it doesn't need to. This isn't Java versus .NET. This isn't Microsoft versus Apple. It doesn't have to be that way, right? Or what? Android versus Apple.
Not Netscape versus Internet Explorer.
Right, exactly. We don't have to fight about this. They're both great. They do things the way people want them to. I think. I think I still want to live in a world where I get a really good hybrid, and I'm not talking about like I had the '06 Civic that I had for a lot of years. That was not a good hybrid. Like it got me there, but barely. And I'd love more of, I love that gas or I mean, it could be any form of natural gas or hydrogen or some of those kinds of things. With some batteries to store it in for the longer ranges, you maybe run that and the engine runs and charges it back up. Or like you're saying, we get some solar capabilities, out of the car or out of the road. Right. So
Yeah.
I think there's just there's still a lot of great things ahead. We just don't need to fight about our cars, right?
No.
I mean, we don't need to fight about our cars.
We don't need to fight about a lot of things in life.
That's true. That's true. Except whiskey. I will fight for whiskey. No, I'm just kidding. So anyways, big thanks to Ed who came on last week. He's back in a couple weeks. I'll talk about some upcoming guests here. He's back in a couple weeks talking about some of the accessories he's bought for that car. Well, you've heard from already. We know him as Uncle Marv, but Marv Bee's hanging out with me tonight. Marv, welcome. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me back.
How's the podcast? What are you doing? How's it going? Are you daily with the IT?
So technically no.
Okay.
But I'm in one of those stretches where I am posting once or twice a day because I just finished 2 conferences and I get to record at those conferences. And the last one that I was at, I recorded 11 podcasts at that conference. And so I'm still releasing podcasts from that conference that was 2 weeks ago. And then I'm still doing my regularly scheduled show, my live show Wednesday nights. I just did one last night. And I'm also doing some extra shows where there's an organization called the National Society of IT Service Providers. And they asked me to join last year to help them market. So we just started doing member profiles of that organization. Nice. So I'm also going to be doing those as well. So they're going to be stacking up where I will be doing probably 3 to 5 shows per week for the IT Business Podcast.
Yeah, and it's Uncle Marv's IT Business Podcast. If you want to find it, I threw the link to it on in Apple Podcasts. If you want to grab it there, I'll have links for that and all that other stuff in the show notes. Are you do anything else? Do anything podcasting for fun?
So no, I'm podcasting for health. I also have
that's fun, right? Health is fun.
Hey, well, if you're happy and healthy. So yeah, I have an unhealthy podcast that I've been doing. I did a bunch of shows in January and February, the beginning of March. Took a little break. I'm getting ready to start up my next series of shows, and that show is really about anything that deals with health, whether it's our eating, our exercising, our mental state. I had a lady on last month where we talked about divorce. And she's a divorce coach. So we talk about, how much relationships are an unhealthy part of our lives at times. So we talked about that. I had a girl on that was, her focus is 21st century medicine. And she was somebody who basically spent her whole life trying to be this professional athlete. She was a cyclist out of Canada. And she was actually training to be on the Olympic team, had an accident and never recovered. And turns out she had a bunch of stuff wrong with her that the doctors could never figure out. And she, I don't know the whole story, but everything from mold disease to chronic fatigue syndrome. She had what was that? I wish I should have looked up the notes there, but she had all these things wrong with her that she actually ended up leaving Canada, coming to the US and going to medical school herself to figure out what was wrong.
Wow. Yeah. Self heal. Is she figuring some stuff out? I hope.
Oh yeah. She did. She's symptom free now, and she's got a whole system on helping others. She's got her own private practice, and it's basically this 21st century medicine. She still believes in traditional medicine when it's needed. If you break your arm, you're going to a surgeon, you're doing that sort of stuff.
Right.
But she just says there's so many things that the insurance-based health system just isn't designed to fix.
Yeah. No, it's a combination, right? You got to do some things for yourself. You got to go see your doctor, though. You got to get regular physicals. You got to still do some of that. The dentist is super important. Like taking care of your teeth. Actually, the teeth are the entry point for a lot of really bad things that happen. That can. And if you keep your teeth strong, and you have good, dental hygiene, doesn't mean it needs to be perfect. Just kind of need to keep it, So what I found out, and it took me until my 40s to kind of figure, like, hey, if you just go on a regular basis, it's a lot easier than trying to make up. It's like, cramming. You can't cram for your cholesterol test. That's something you can't. It's not a test you cram for.
Nope.
Right? So it's good to be. We've talked a lot about that on this show, but good. Well, it's good to catch up with you, Marv. Okay, I want to tell the listeners. I want you to listen carefully. Okay, what we're about to talk about, Marv and I. Don't write this off as soon as I say something, right? There's tech involved in this, but I think you're going to like this. So just make sure. So hang with me through this. Don't go anywhere right away. But Marv, we know from some of the things that you've been, we've known several times on your podcast. You talk about the Florida Man.
Yep.
And Florida Man does this, Florida Man does that. But wait a minute. Are you telling me they have Florida Man games?
Yes.
Let's talk. What is this?
So this is exactly what it sounds like. That whole phenomenon called Florida Man. When you type in Florida Man and a date and you look for the crazy stories, they came up with this concept of, we're going to take these stories and turn them into a game. And the first one was last year, and I thought, okay, that can't be real. That can't happen. It was phenomenal. 10,000 people showed up at this little swamp in North Florida to do this. And we're talking, evading arrest obstacle course, weaponized poodle noodle, Florida sumo, cage match, and beer chug. This year they added some games, human beer pong, where people were literally encased in a bubble and had to knock each other over. They had a hurricane party prep, which was a grocery aisle brawl. They actually set up these aisles that looked like a grocery store, and you had to go through and grab items as if you were getting ready for a hurricane. This year they had a mechanical gator instead of a mechanical bull.
Yeah, you had to ride, and you had to ride the gator, grab it by the mouth, and ride it. Did they have? Was there a Waffle House involved? A Waffle
was
House brawl
it was
involved
not a
in this?
Waffle House.
No Waffle House.
So last year when they had it, of course, I talked about it. And for those that don't know, one of the regular segments on my IT business podcast is I share a Florida man story. And we even went so far as to I invited guests to challenge Florida man by finding a local story in their area to match whatever craziness I could come up in the last few weeks. And so they said, you should do the Florida games. And so I said, okay. So I sent an email to the person that created the games, and he said, sure, come on. So I went to the Florida Man games this year. It was March 1st. And I have tons of videos and pictures and stuff that I'll give Jim a link to. And I went, and it is just as crazy as it sounds.
Wow. And I love the headline for that. I hope I didn't close it. Shoot. Here it is. I love live the headlines without the jail time.
Yeah.
How many people show up for an event like this?
So there's about 10 grand. I mean,
Okay.
it's a full day. It starts early and goes into the night. And I actually only ended up staying half the day.
Okay.
Because I just didn't plan properly, first of all.
For the hydration and for the that kind of.
Yeah, the hydration. But I also did not plan for so I went as a podcaster. I was going to go there and take some video. And when I read all the instructions, we didn't think we could take a table or a tent or anything like. I should have.
Okay. We
could have set up and did everything great. And so after a while, it was like, you know what, I'm done. I was pooped. So we did have a little station. I had a sign. I had an Uncle Marv Florida Man game sign.
Yeah.
I brought gear so that I could record interviews and all of that. But it was, and the wife went with me.
Nice.
And so she helped.
Did she have a good time, or will she go back next year? Will she do it again with you next?
She probably won't go back next year because there's another gentleman who is also a podcaster that will go with me, and we will go in proper podcaster style and have the right cameras and all of that stuff.
The gear that you bought this year, we're going to talk about that here. This is where the tech stuff comes in. So hang tight. It's coming. It's coming. Don't leave just yet. The tech you bought this year, I assume, will carry over for next year as well. You're thinking, right?
Yep, and I'm actually using it for other stuff as well. So it's not just for the Florida Man games. It's actually, I've been trying to figure out a way to do off-site podcasts and be able to film them, stream them, with not, something better than just a laptop and a webcam.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find that gear where I could do multiple camera angles. And all of that. And I had the Logitech Mevo cameras for a while, and they just never seemed to work when I needed them to.
Do what? And you don't think going with like GoPros would for stuff like this? I mean, it seems all these YouTubers are just using GoPros.
Yeah, but they're not like podcast ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about that, and I went and looked at them. And they're great for on-the-go action type stuff. And we might use them to record some of the events.
Yeah.
But in terms of
would be
but in terms of just sitting down, recording, interviewing somebody, the GoPro. Excuse me.
No, you drank the water wrong.
Yeah. They're just not a good interview style camera.
Yeah.
So I've purchased the Rode Interview Pro cameras. I mean, microphones, and those are pretty good because you can record directly to the microphone, or you can use them with a Rode interview device like a Rodecaster or this new thing that I bought.
You're talking about the lapel. Yeah, I'll get to that here in just a second. Are you talking about the Rode lapel mics? Or
no, they actually have full handheld microphones. I probably should have gotten a link for that as well.
That's all right. Before, as you're doing that, let's spend a little time though. Like the center of all of this, and this is interesting because I think some folks, this Rodecaster video, right? It's a video switcher. These things used to cost you $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 or $10,000 if you were going to go with Blackmagic boxes or TriCasters to make this work. And now you look at it and you go $1,200. That's a lot of money for just a video switcher, but it historically comparative to the not that long ago, not a bad deal. How did it work for you? And tell me why you got this one.
So the reason I got this one, I'll start with that, is there was two things. One, it actually records the audio as well as the video, and you can record it separately like a podcast and extract the audio, and that worked great. And two, it was that multi-camera feature with auto switching, meaning that if you set it up properly, you can assign a camera to a microphone so that when somebody speaks, it would automatically switch without me having to hit a button or anything like that. And I said, you know what? Rather than get a recorder, get a separate switcher, all of this stuff, cables, I'll just get this one thing. And I reviewed it for about a month and said, yeah, this is it. And it works great. It does record. It's not super high quality, but it's better than recording with your phone or with a Yeti mic.
The microphones are not super high quality, or the signal coming into this isn't. Which
now, what I mean is they're not now. So, like I said, I use the Interview Pro wireless, and they're decent for what they are. But if you hook this up in studio to a Shure SMB or Rode Pod mic, it's going to sound just as good.
Yeah. I do love the video switching component about it. It was something that we used to get for free, and it still works if you have a paid version of the Google. They don't call them Hangouts anymore. I forget what. Do you remember what Google calls them?
No, I think they're still Hangouts.
Are they?
Yeah.
They kept that brand, and the camera switching worked really well on that. We used to use that all the time. It was voice activated. It would do some wacky things where it would, there was crosstalk, right? It struggled sometimes to keep up. Any problems with the Rodecaster video on keeping up with the? Did you get a chance to use the camera switching?
So I didn't use it while I was there.
Okay.
I did try it here in the studio, and it worked fine in the studio. So without any distractions, any other noise. I took it to a conference before Florida Man Games, and I was stuck in the vendor hall where it was all vendors around us, and there was food. So there was all the eating and clanking of dishes and stuff, and the auto switching just didn't work there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's when I realized, okay, this is not to be taken out in the wild and have all of the fancy features work the way that you want them to. But it's still, if you get the right cameras, it is still a good device, and you can manually switch if you need to. Or what I ended up doing was just getting one camera and focusing on me and my guest with a still caption. That worked just great.
Sitting side by side kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you use, let's show this camera. Is this one that you took to or bought for this, just for this purpose? Or
so yes, and the reason that I did that, so the Rodecaster Video has 4 HDMI inputs and 2 USB inputs. So I ended up connecting my Logitech Brio webcams to it, and it worked. But I wanted the nice features of an HDMI, and I didn't want to spend $1,000 for one of those cameras that all the real people that do video talk, the Sonys and the stuff, they're $1,000. This was, at the time I bought it, it was a sale. So I got it for a little less than $4.
Oh, that's not bad. It's a $500 camera normally, right? Yep.
And
how do you pronounce this? What kind of camera is this?
Osbot.
Okay.
Tail. Actually, it's a Tail Air, right? Yep. The Osbot Tail Air NDI. Yep. And I bought it because it, was a small enough camera to connect to a tripod so I could stand it up. And I thought all of the zoom in and zoom out features would be cool.
Yeah.
And
it
took me a while to figure it out. So if you don't practice enough, the zoom features can drive you batty. Because I remember when we were doing an interview and I had 2 of us side by side, and literally, if I didn't keep talking and the other person talked, the camera would literally zoom in to the other person, and
Uh-huh.
I'd be
Leaning. Hey,
yeah,
hey, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Hey, I'm over
um,
here. I'm over
yeah.
here.
So
Yeah.
there is a
Yeah.
way to lock in a camera position, or you can set up scenes with it. It needs to be connected to a laptop or a handheld controller for those. But once I figured it out, the picture quality is great. The other thing with this camera is it can also connect to Wi-Fi and live stream directly from the camera. So I figured, you know what, I may use that in the future. So that was another reason to get this particular one.
Yeah, we used one similar to this. This style has gotten kind of popular. Big optics, like it has a nice size sensor that's in
Yeah,
it. That's one of and then of course it's got a gimbal like arm for those on audio. It's got a gimbal like arm, swivels, tilts, pans, zooms. So it's gets you in the four dimensions.
yeah,
And some of them have remotes that you can use to remote make sure the battery's working in the remote. That's another frustrating thing. We use these at conferences and we would zoom out and zoom in. I always had somebody else operating the thing because I did not want to be trying to talk and push buttons and figure it out.
right.
But the real application came out of conference call rooms where they would sit and autonomously find people in the room, and then it would zoom it would
Yeah,
move towards the person speaking, which is super creepy, by the way, when you watch that when you're on a Zoom call and the camera's just moving around in a room. In most cases, most of the rooms, at least that I have gone in or I have seen that have been using these, they've disabled the feature, and they have this really nice 4K camera with all these, they've turned them all off, and
yeah.
it's just a giant picture of the room, right? Type deal. So that is too bad. Good. Did you like quality? It worked well for you?
The quality is fantastic. Again, you may need to get in and tweak it a little bit, and there's an app that comes with it. Just out of the box, it starts out looking clear, but depending on your environment, the lighting and stuff, you could end up just kind of a blah lighting situation. So there's a ton of features where you can go in and tell it if it's, day, night, inside, outside. You can change the contrast, the brightness, and all of that. But once I figured that out, it's a very nice camera.
Yeah, the video we're showing right now, of course, these are all live shots of people doing things outside. So it'll follow you around. You can train it on you. Okay, follow me. You tell it to follow me, and then it'll follow you around whatever you're doing. Or they show some folks cooking, a cooking show on the video or whatever, being able to hook that in. So yeah, I think really, really versatile from that perspective. Can sit it down or hang it upside down to get.
Yeah.
I think you can flip that around if you want to do it that way. Right, pretty versatile. Would you buy another one?
So I'm not sure yet. I may buy either the lesser version of it, just the regular Osbot tail, or I may look for a couple of other, standard HDMI cameras where, maybe they don't do all of the zoom in and zoom out for, the second and third cameras and stuff like that. So I haven't figured that out yet. So I only have one of these,
Oh.
and I've been using my Logitech Brios for the other scenarios. But I think I'm going to try to buy all in the same family so I can use the same app instead of having to switch back and forth.
What can you to that Roadcaster video? Can you stream your iPhone to it?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Well, let me rephrase that. I can record. I can use an incoming, music or
Yeah.
call or something. Yes, that can come in.
Oh, okay, but you can't use its camera
No.
Oh, it's too bad.
No, it's got to be plugged. It's got to be a device that plugs in, and I think the iPhones don't have. You know what? There may be a cable for that.
Yeah, there may be. I mean, Elgato has got all that stuff kind of working for you can use the apps and then restream. I can't get it to stop picking up my phone when I connect it once, it was pointing up to the ceiling, or sometimes it's just a dark camera. It picks up my phone first. And so that's a really, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to have my phone up, like this the whole time. I used to do more things on my phone when I was podcasting. I don't touch it anymore, so certainly that could work. It's a really nice camera for that, so it'd be a good use of it for sure.
I'd almost have to consider getting a second phone just for that, because of all the
Yeah.
other apps and
Right.
stuff that pop up with the alerts and the
Right.
all of that stuff. You'd have to put it in focus mode and turn everything off.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. Well, you got to power all this stuff. This is where I get really excited. If you've been listening here, that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about power. And it sounds like you picked up some mobile power to take out with it. Did it come? The picture comes with solar panels. Of
Yes.
course, we're talking about an Anchor Solex, right? Is that how they pronounce it?
Yep. Uh-huh.
A C300 portable power station, 288 watt hours, and a 300 watt device. So, if you got 300 watts, it basically lasts about an hour. That's kind of the way that works, maybe a little bit less depending on the conditions. Anchor's done some nice things in this space. Talk a little bit about what you picked up and why you got what you did.
Yeah. So I had been looking at Anchor. Actually, there's a backup version for the house, and I was looking at that as opposed to getting one of those Generacs or something like that, where I could do that. They have some full house versions that actually could power a house up to a day or a day and a half on a full charge. But then you could have the solar panels that you could just do that. So when I saw this, when I was looking for something to take with me up to the games, I saw this and I said, ooh, that may work. And the price alone was enough for me to say, oh, I got to do it. And so I tried powering up all my gear and just leaving it plugged in. And it actually went about 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours with just a charge where I didn't need the solar panels. So I figured having the solar panels would really work. And it was a great day, full sun. And I actually had more people ask me about this than anything else because they saw that I was powering everything through this.
Yeah. So you're probably running, okay, in that scenario, you're probably running 75 watts for all that equipment or so,
Right,
to get that kind of length of time on it, maybe a little bit less. The panels that you got. So right now on Amazon, this is 370, and they got a $90 coupon. So, you're under $300 for a 300 watt device. It'll surge up to 600. So you can, if you got something that, takes a little more power to get started, but then that comes down, it'll do it. It comes with a 60 watt solar panel for it. So Marv, in your case, you could probably on a sunny day at Florida Man games. I almost said Burning Man, and then I almost said the Burning Florida Man. Because that's probably happened too, I'm sure. You could go all day easy. I mean, if you're off this kind of thing, and probably charge a couple phones while you're out there type deal.
I mean, it's got, it's, as you can see through the pictures, if you're watching the video, it's got 3 regular outlet plugs. It's got multiple USB cable plugins.
Got a light up front there, right?
It's got a light. Yeah. It's got the AC adapter. I was quite happy with this.
Yeah, it's a good little charger. This is a space that's, because I've been following it, it's super competitive right now and has not got hit by the tariff taxes just yet, right? They're not technically taxes, but you guys know what I mean on that. And so there's been a little battle. I mean, a lot of companies came in, a lot of solar products, a lot of solar batteries have come in. They've been battling each other. And of course, Anchors, I think I would put them in the top 5 of these battery devices. They seem to be making pretty good devices out there, along with the Blue Eddies and some of the others that are doing their thing. This is for I think for an individual interested in seeing how this works, this would be a perfect battery to get started with. Look at those solar panels. You're not putting out full time. You're not putting them outside your house full time, right? This is take it with you. It's to charge the battery while you're out there. I think your situation's a perfect one.
Yeah, that was it. Or if you're going to go camping, this would be
camping. I'd say, when you're out there at Florida Man, you could you'd have enough power to sell some phone charging services for folks, or at least, hey, charge your phone for free, kind of thing. If people, now I don't know if somebody would come and drop their phone and leave, like, to get it charged, right? They don't
No,
want to stand there the whole time either.
and there's tons of there's tons of places to plug in, so it's not like
Okay.
I would have a premium service.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's I think it gives you some it would get you through the day with the panels. It would probably get you well beyond the day for some of the stuff, and leave you some headroom for $300. That's you got to feel pretty good about that, right?
Yeah, I did. I like I said, once I saw the price and it was Anchor, I said I got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Especially with the solar panels. I mean, that was the other thing. The solar panels are usually, another $100 with all these other products.
Yeah. Well, and I go back and forth on this solar thing, and for me, the real value would be to put, I have a south facing roof that's angled perfectly for solar panels. Just got a new roof. I don't want to drill holes in my new roof for solar panels. And to be honest with you, it's a break-even proposition. But I have thought about, in all the generator work that I have done, I have thought about the batteries. They're, to run the house full time and what I need, including the air conditioner, it's about $7,000 in batteries to make that work. Right now, I can get those for about just under $6,000 because of the price stuff that's going on, if you kind of watch them. And now, do you need that? That's to run the whole house. That's to have the air conditioner running, some of those kinds of things. And then I'd back it up with a generator. So if it was going to be a multi-day, I did have some thoughts, like, these portable solar panels are getting pretty good too. I might want to stack some of those in the garage. And then in a power failure, my driveway is one of the best uncovered, no trees, bright. I mean, it is a perfect spot. And you would think during a power outage, bring the portable panels out, lay them out on the driveway, plug it into your solar, into your battery, and get some extra juice. Would you have any issues, Marv, with the power outage of pulling out solar panels to help with the power outage, just to have them out for the time that the power's out?
I wouldn't. And part of it is the way that our house is situated. We would have them, behind our fence. It's not like people would see them. So that would be my biggest fear, is that, somebody would come and, take my solar, stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have a really good neighborhood but people, and we're all staring at each other's stuff all the time, to kind of protect each other. But I get it. Somebody drive down the street and go, oh, I could use these, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But in terms of when I was looking at that whole house system, I'm thinking, I've only been in one situation in a hurricane where we've been without power for more than a week. And most other times it's only been a day or two. And so part of me is like, you know what? That system would work perfectly. That's
the one you got, the 300 watt.
Well, no, not this one. I'm talking about the bigger version.
The bigger versions, yeah.
Because part of me is like looking at the cost and the installation and the amount of real estate to put in one of those Generac, whole home systems. I mean, they're an eyesore. Mm-hmm. The Anchor ones basically can fit. They're the size of a trash can inside your garage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I explored that a lot, and you'd have the same problem. If you want to run air, you got to make sure you have the right kind of air conditioner. And then you got to make sure that power draws enough, and you got to get the battery sized enough so it can start that air conditioner. Once it gets going, it's not as bad. It's that initial burst of, it's that burst of power. The good news is a lot of these solar, or a lot of these batteries, these backup battery or whole home backups for the batteries, they have really big, surge wattage. So, 5,000 watts of battery backup, but it can surge to 10. Generators can kind of, gas generators can kind of do that, But boy, when you give them a surge, those things bog down. You know, you hear them kind of, they're gurgle as you're really pushing them, and there's no guarantee they're not going to quit on you at that point. Then you got to go back out and restart it. Some of those kinds of things. So I'm contemplating having both at some point where I've got something in the house on the battery, and then I still have a gas generator. And if it's going to be extended, I'm going to run the house off batteries. But then when the batteries need to be recharged, I'm just going to fire up the generator and charge it back up, type deal. That seems to be the best of both worlds. Okay, enough on that. Anything? Well, I shouldn't say enough. I'll let you decide. Anything else on the battery?
No, the battery, like I said, it was perfect. You can buy a separate, bag for it if you want to protect it and stuff. And it was nice.
It's a cool space. They have a lot. I mean, if you like to geek out on that kind of stuff and taking power with you, now is the time. There are some really good portable generators that are out, and especially in this size, 300, 500, 800 watts. There's some really, really good stuff if you're going to take camping.
And I should probably have said one more side note.
Oh yeah.
I also took it with me to my last conference, and where I actually have a table set up for my podcasting stuff. Now I don't have to worry about where is there an electrical outlet.
For sure. Did you plug it in though? Does it have pass through power? So can you pass the power through?
It does have pass through power. Yes.
Okay. So that's good. Can it act like a UPS? So can you, if something happens and the power goes down while you're using it, will it keep the things running? Do you know?
I've not checked for that, but I imagine that it would.
I think most of them are doing that now. I think you certainly want to check. I'm using a Blue Eddy version of that now, and I use it as a UPS device that way. So that can work that way as well. At the conference, did you charge it at all during, or did you just run off it the whole time?
I just ran off it during the day. I actually shut down my equipment when I would walk away for lunch and other stuff. So I wasn't podcasting straight through.
Yeah.
So it did last me the whole day there, and then I just took it up to the room and charged it. For the next day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can get twice what you have, and it's still carryable. And then some of the bigger ones have wheels. Yeah. Pull up they're like big suitcases. So anything else on that?
No, that's it.
Okay. One more thing on equipment that you bought, and Ed Sullivan talked about this a couple shows ago when he was on, but you picked up one of these, and these things are cheap right now. Like it's 85, let's say 86 on Amazon, $20 coupon. So we're at $65 or whatever, whatever that works out to be with tax. But you picked up a 15-inch USB monitor to take with you.
So once I realized what I was doing with the Rodecaster video, and if I wasn't going to be live streaming at the time, I wasn't going to be able to see what does the picture look like.
Yeah.
So the Rodecaster video has a HDMI out connector, and I didn't want to take a big old monitor with me. So I found this. It's basically just a little larger than a tablet, and I plug it in. It's powered through the USB and HDMI, and you get a full clean picture. So I can see what the Rodecaster video is doing with all the camera angles and everything like that. So that's why.
Is it bright enough outside? Was it bright enough? Sometimes that's the hard part, but that worked for you?
I had no issues. We were not quite in full sun, but it was enough that I was probably 10 feet away doing the interviews, and I could still see it, almost like a little monitor on a stage where you can look down and see what the picture looks like.
Did it come with the right cables then too, that you could just plug that right into the road?
No, it came with one cable. I had to get I had to get my own HDMI cable.
Okay.
And it comes with a USB cable for charging.
Comes with a stand, right? It's got a built-in stand for it.
It's built in, yeah.
As well. So did you have a laptop open as well during any of this time, or were you completely running it off of the Rodecaster video?
At the Florida Man games, no laptop. I ran everything off the Rodecaster in this display.
Wow. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
As podcasters, we're always like, we always got our laptop with us and we're running some kind of video capture on that. But the fact that you could run it through that device, I guess that says a lot. I mean, the fact you could do the whole thing on it. I think sometimes we think of those as much like we think of our audio, devices where no, we're plugging that into a laptop to make it work. This all worked all on its own.
Yeah, it was good.
Dan Lefebvre's out there in chat. He said the Rodecaster Video seems great for live stream, but very expensive for those who don't need it for live streaming. Are there any features worth the cost if you're not doing it live?
So I'll be honest, I've only live streamed off of it one time. The rest of the time it has been recording the video, and I think where it made sense for me, I was looking for a portable option to take with me with the multi-cameras. But I think this really makes sense in studio if you were trying to run a production with multiple cameras and it's just you. Yeah. Because most places you have to have somebody else doing all of that stuff. You can set up everything ahead of time on the Rodecaster so that even if you had to push the buttons to move cameras, it would do that for you. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it records the audio as well, records the video, that's basically all you need.
We were doing live events for a while. We've taken the year off, so I won't. Every summer, I've done a live event for work, and done it in various forms. We've done man on the street kind of things. I've done table, like you would at a conference, interviews that way. This last time they set up a separate sound stage, and we had different camera angles. I think if I was going to do live from a corporate perspective, I would tell them, I need one of these and I need a producer. And that would be, because I think this would be a perfect situation to make it easy on a part-time producer as well, to be able to come in without knowing very much and be able to push a few buttons and have a lot of that stuff happen automatically. Curtis, who helped me, a good friend of mine who helped me do this last time, he'd love that. Like, he'd be like, dude, this is cool. Can I do that? Now that's live. That's live stuff. Marv, I wouldn't, if it sat on my desk, it would largely get wasted if it was full-time, on my desk, I would think. Don't you think, for a regular podcaster?
I think for a regular podcaster, yes. I mean, even here in my studio, my stuff is set up, and I've got my Rodecaster Duo here. I've got my tablet. I've got my camera, my multi-monitors. I mean, I don't want the Rodecaster Video here, but I'm thinking of a secondary location where I want to do a sit-down style interview where I'm not in front of a desk. It's that studio feel that you see when people are just in two chairs talking. That's where I see the benefit of something like the Rodecaster Video, where you set it up and you can have that feel, that studio feel, without the studio price and commitment.
Yeah. By the way, I don't, for what that, like said this in the beginning, for $1,200 for what that does, it's a great price. Like that used to be, that was a ton more equipment to do what that thing does. And not as elegant and not as small. I mean, it's amazing where we've come with video switchers. Those things were, every camera had a Blackmagic box that was, the size of a Nook computer, right? And then and they had cables going everywhere, and it was a lot. And then you had to have special monitors. I mean, I remember going to the Microsoft Studios in Redmond one time, and each one of those cameras had its own little monitor. They'd make the little Blackmagic monitors for that, so you could see what was coming in on the thing. And then you needed a video switcher, and they always had the one with the big handle.
Yeah.
Felt like you were engaging hyperdrive with that thing,
Now, the funny thing, we didn't even talk about the fact that if you did hook up your laptop to this, and you could probably do it with the HDMI monitor, you can actually see two different scenes of what is on the other cameras and then what's live. So that, if you had somebody that was actually producing for you, they could be doing stuff in the background on this device through the laptop, and you would have, in a sense, a full production studio.
Would you go touchscreen? Did that monitor that you bought, the inexpensive USB monitor, touchscreen or not, or no touchscreen?
I didn't know on that. I didn't know on that.
So no touchscreen on a laptop doing this kind of thing. If you were gonna say get a big monitor with it, would you want to do touchscreen, or would you want mouse control for something like that, do you think?
Personally, I would want mouse control, but I could see somebody that's really proficient and loves touchscreen. I could see that being a thing.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about, switching cameras and stuff, how nice it would be, to just touch the screen to flip between cameras or do that kind of thing.
Well, there's a little screen on here. So I don't know if you're going to go back, but there is a display screen here that you actually touch to do a lot of the programming if you're not connected to a laptop and stuff. So to switch between microphones, to check the storage, to change scenes, you actually do a lot of that. So having that touchscreen capability on a monitor or a laptop would probably just be the same thing.
The one frustrating thing about a touchscreen, and you've had this happen to you, is where you touch it and it doesn't do its thing. And then you touch it even harder, and then when the third time you touch it, you push the monitor over. We have these Jira coffee makers at work now that have these little tiny touch screens, and you can make about 4,000 different kinds of coffee on it. It even has a wheel that you can spin, and it gives you all these options. And you're supposed to touch these things to make this stuff happen. And lately, this thing, I mean, it gets thousands of touches a day. And lately I've noticed, I don't know what's going on, but every once in a while I get a screen that just says, take your finger off the screen. It's like, my finger's not on the screen. Like, I'm not touching you, but it thinks some residue, or it's been touched too many times, or somebody's been poking it really hard.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of touchscreens. It's just me. Listen, I fought the mouse when that first came out. I don't know if you remember, Jim, back in the original DOS days, everything was keyboard. And to take my hand off the keyboard, I thought that would be slowing me down.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked the mouse on day one. When those things started to come out, I'm like, oh, this is great. But I was never a great keyboard. I struggled. I mean, the era of computers made me better at keyboarding. Like, that was, and I've continued to get better over the years. I was a terrible typist before computers. And I remember I bought, before this would have been, I started college in 93. And I bought a little brother word processor for college because I was poor. I didn't have the money to buy a $5,000 computer, right, in those days. So I bought a $400 brother word processor little laptop thing and wore that thing out during college. But when I finally got a computer with a mouse, probably 95 was my first, a 386 with a mouse. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to work. So, but I get it, Marv. You keyboard, what do they call them? Keyboard warriors? No, that's what are they?
That's social media.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those.
No, right on. It's but I get it. It is. I don't know. I like touchscreen. I have, of the 11 or 12 monitors that I have down here, 1, 2, 3 are touchscreen. Is that right? Yeah. And 3? Yeah. And I use the touchscreen on the home automation dashboard, which makes sense. But I do find myself taking the mouse over there and click on those instead of touching it. And then I have a 24-inch touchscreen here from the old days of when they still made those kind of things. And I could touch it, but it's just easier to put the mouse up there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm good with the mouse now.
Yeah. Anything else on that monitor that have you, what besides a conference or, even the outside event, would you use that? Would you plug it in and use it as a monitor, a regular monitor for you?
The only time I've considered it is as a second monitor with my laptop and doing an extension there. To be honest, I couldn't think of another purpose for it. I actually almost didn't buy it. My wife was like, just buy the stupid thing.
Yeah. I'd have it plugged in full time on my desk. Just to be honest with you, I would use it like a desktop monitor on something here. It would become a extra monitor for something. And then when I needed it, I just unplug it and take it with me. I'd have it in a spot where it could just easily unplug it and take it with me.
Yeah.
But to own something like that, I'd want to use it all the time. But
that's where I'm considering getting a different laptop bag so that I could take that with.
Yeah.
and that way have a second monitor on my laptop so I could literally, pretend like I'm back in the office with my two screens, even though
Yeah, it's nice.
they're
Yeah.
both two laptop screens.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you, well, it's still helpful. I mean, sometimes it's helpful to get something over on another screen. If you flew with that thing, do you think you got to take it out of your bag?
So I fly TSA, so I haven't had to take it out in a while. So I don't think so.
TSA free, or when you say you fly, you got the TSA pass, or you go through the regular?
I go through the TSA line, and we don't have to take stuff out.
No, I haven't flown in a while, so I don't know, but yeah, just kind of wondering. For a while, I flew with. I'm so dumb. For a while, I flew with two laptops, and so you're getting there, and then you're getting the eyeballs,
and people are like, "Yeah, like, could you be any more of a geek?"
Are you trying to compensate for something? Was basically what that made me. And I'm trying to think, why didn't I take two?
So I had two tablets once and forgot, because I had my regular tablet for work, and then I had a tablet with me for my podcasting gear, because I have a tablet that I have that will, do music. I had a soundboard on the tablet.
Yeah.
And I had two tablets in my suitcase and forgot. And I was doing the carry-on, and I remember going through, and the person's like, "Who's got this tablet in here?" I'm like, I didn't.
Who left? Who? How dare you? Like, okay, strip search. You're like, that's not necessary. Not necessary. Dan says, Dan, thanks for coming out tonight, by the way. He says, I've got a little monitor like that, different brand though. Very handy to have a monitor that you can plug into with a single cable here and there. And that's the beauty of it, right? Is you don't have to find power for it. Right? You can in an airport, you can plug it in, or on the aircraft, you can plug it in. I think it's handy when you're sitting and you don't have anybody sitting next to you, and you can put both trays down, have your laptop on one and the monitor on the other.
Yeah. I mean, you're still going to get eyeballs then too.
For sure you are. For sure.
But you can have a movie streaming on one and then work on the other.
Yeah. Gaming, whatever, whatever you want. Yeah, no, for sure. Marv, anything else on we're good on time, but anything else you want to add to that conversation?
Check out my video on Florida Man Games.
Oh, yeah,
what you missed.
Yeah, so Marv has a video that he made. He's going to give me that link. I'll have it in the show notes, so you can check it out. theaverageguy.tv/HGG642 is this, and we'll have that, and you can go watch it.
Listen, I know it's goofy, it's stupid, but to be honest, the fun. Florida Man links are the most clicked links in my show notes.
It's because they're hilarious.
And it's one of those things you just got to experience it once. It's like everything else, it's just one time.
Is it worth coming down to Florida just for the event?
There is an interview that I did where this gal came down from Ohio.
Okay.
And she was all about, heck yeah, I flew down here from Ohio.
just for the Florida Man
event. For the Florida Man Games. It is a spectacle.
I mean, what city is this in?
So it is west of St. Augustine.
Okay.
It's called the St. Johns County Fairgrounds. And it's an appropriate place for the characters you will see. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that without making anybody mad by characterizing anybody in any terms there. But all right. Well, I have to check it out again. I'll get the video link that Marv made to his YouTube channel, and we'll put that in the show notes. And you guys can head out after the program here, after you're done listening to it or watching on YouTube, and watch it. It'll be good. What's coming up for you, Marv? Anything?
So let's see. I've got really just a whole bunch of podcasts from the last conference, and you're probably going to love this. I am starting another podcast.
What? That's surprising to me. What's it going to be on?
So it's going to be a podcast that's going to be locally based. A lady and I are going to get together and we're going to do interviews locally,
Yeah.
Florida business, entertainment events, and it's just going to be a Let's Talk Lauderdale type
Yeah.
thing. And we're going to use it. We were sitting talking like, we've been here. I've been in Florida now. This would be 30 plus years in Fort Lauderdale. And the city has changed so much. And I've not been involved, networking wise or what. I've just serviced my clients and, we don't go out and do that much. So it's like, you know what? I need to see what Fort Lauderdale is all again. So we're going to talk Fort Lauderdale. We're going to talk South Florida. It's going to be one of those kind of half entertainment shows where we'll talk about events. We'll also interview local business owners and, promote business in the area. And I may use it to, try to get a couple of clients and see where it goes.
And go ahead. Sorry.
And we're probably going to do a Florida Man Travels segment where we go and visit the state of Florida. And
you're on the west end of the state or the east end of the state? Or
I'm on the east side.
You're on the east side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Some good stuff. Good luck on. I think your Florida Man stuff may take off, and you may have to just go full-time Florida Man podcasting for whatever. Maybe on the local side of things that'll pay off. The local's tough, right? I mean, the numbers will never be very big just because of the population that you have for it. But I think those can be really fun. Like I think that's a chance to really lock in local and meet some people that are in town and do some of those kinds of things. When I did running events and I did, those kinds of things and I podcasted those, I got to do some interviews with some folks in town that were pretty big deals. And no one had ever asked them to do an interview before because they're local heroes, right? So that kind of made a nice relationship. And I still see those folks today at events and stuff and like, oh, hey, what's going on, Ivan? Or whatever. And they've remained friends. So I think there's a lot of value. I don't think the numbers will ever be giant, right? But
no, and all of my podcasts, I've not really done the numbers, and I'm good with that. I realize that I'm not out there trying to get the 10,000 views sort of a thing. Low numbers, high engagement is really what I'm looking at.
Yeah, those are the best. I like that kind of. Even my work podcast, we do our best as 250,000 downloads a year. So it's enough, right? It's pretty good, but it gets really high engagement. And I like that. I like that way better than I like, just blasting out the stuff. I think people are nicer on that. They're super nice here. So if you're listening to this podcast, I consider you a part of the nice group. So thanks for doing that, Marv. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for being my friend. And thanks for the great information. Appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me share some Florida Man stuff.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. I hope everybody made it to this point at the very end. I hope you got here. And again, just a reminder, those links for all that tech and for the video, as well as the Florida Man games, check it out in the show notes. Now, Marv, can you hang with me for 1 second while I close this up?
Sure.
A couple things coming up over the next couple weeks. Erin Lawrence is back next week. I always love having Erin on. She's fantastic. Uyghur is right behind her, and then Ed Sullivan is back for his accessories show, and then Gavin Campbell's coming back on with. He just Marv, you like this? I don't know if you geek out on this, but he just replaced his electrical service. He went from 100 amp, I think, to a 200 amp service, and they redid all the wiring and they did a beautiful job. And there's something about a panel that's wired nicely, the breakers and stuff. You get into that at all? Are you interested in the home wiring stuff?
When we moved into our house, we had to redo the panel because it was the one that was here was full.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it was 100, but we also did the 200 amp panel. Unfortunately, I didn't do anything with it, and it does not look pretty.
Oh, that's too bad. Shoot.
But I can say having the bigger panel, having that extra stuff for all the stuff we've added, because we added a second circuit for our air conditioner. We did a split circuit for that. Some stuff for the pool pump. When I moved there, I actually didn't have this office for the business, so I ran my tech shop out of our third bedroom and
Yeah.
garage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And you had enough power to get it done. It's too bad. I know this could sound crazy, but maybe not. I watch electricians on YouTube do the work that they do. I like and the good ones who, especially on a panel, you have so many opportunities to route the wires and kind of make art out of them,
yeah,
right? Just in the way they do that. There's nothing like a good wired panel for me. If it's clean and the stuff is wired well. I said this before, when I opened up my panel a couple months ago, I couldn't remember if the guy had done it in a hurry or if it was a good job or not. And so I'm taking the screws out and I'm like, what am I going to see? Is it going to be a mess? And when I pulled it off, it was really clean in there. And I was like, yes. And I think Gavin got a similar deal. So he'll be on here in a couple weeks to talk about it. And then right behind him on the 15th of May, Mark Robson is back. The big grill and barbecue show.
Oh,
It's going to come hungry. No, don't come hungry. That's probably a bad idea.
He didn't get a new one, did he?
I'm sure he has a new one by now. he can't come on the show unless he has a new one. So he's going to have some stuff coming up. So that's May 15th. You want to join us live for that one as well. We are live. Well, I should before I do that, don't forget the AverageGuy.tv, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from those guys. It's Christian and his dad. You know that. And Christian they just had their baby. So congratulations, Christian.
Congrats.
For that. Mom and baby are doing well. He sent me a few pictures. We'll have him. He gets a couple weeks off for that, and I'll give him some time. And then we'll get him scheduled for maybe June sometime, have him come on and talk about being a brand new tech dad, which with Christian, he's going to go all out on this thing. So congratulations, Christian, and for that, and we'll have him on here in a couple weeks. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, although that may change to 7. Marv, let me ask you, if we started this at 8 Eastern, would you be okay with that? Is that all right, or do you prefer the 9?
Well, personally, I would prefer the 8.
Okay. All right. Well,
but that's because we're in a different time zone.
No, right on. I mean, but for some people are night owls, and they're like, oh, I'd rather do it late. And others are like Ed, like last week. Ed, he'd start at 5 if I let him. He's got an early bedtime. So I've been asking folks. I think I'm going to make the cut over. We'll do Aaron next week. And for the folks that I've kind of said, hey, we'll do 7. We'll probably start the next couple at 8, and then I think I'm going to shift to 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So, but for now we're starting at 8. TheAverageGuy.tv/live. Love to have you join us live if you're just a regular podcast listener. Dan, thanks for coming out tonight. Brian checked in a little bit earlier and said hi. Joe was out there as well. Good to see all of you, and we'd love to have you out here. Thanks for coming out. If you came out live, thanks for joining us. Marv, again, thanks. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.
Holla.